Hi there, it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome to my channel. Yes, I am freshly showered and I'm ready to get into the makeup. I have a new brush I'm trying out from Sonia G. This is the mini buffer. I have the old school Face 1 buffer brush, and this is a smaller size. It definitely has a different handle, and I'm excited to try this out, let you know my thoughts, see if it's the same as the Face 1. But I'm also trying out some makeup that I have featured in other videos before. The Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation. I have the shade 1. I'm going to try this full face again and let you know continued thoughts on it. I'm also going to try some different shades from the Star Wars palette from Pat McGrath, Sith Seduction. In the first video I went very with the natural colors, and now I want to go a little bit deeper in the blues and greens here and get a little bit more sultry. So those are the three things I want to feature in this video. This came from Beautylish and I'm super excited to try it out and take it on vacation with me. Love the little short handle, good for travel. I have tried to buy other sort of buffing type brushes. This one is from Junkay, the Buff and Blur. This is synthetic and I find this to be too dense. I've used it with my Junkay powder and I did not like the way it made the powder apply. So we're gonna get into it. My face is freshly cleansed. I have some skincare on, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some primer, my Milk Hydro Grip, and get into this Makeup by Mario foundation. The last time I used it, I discovered that I thought it was too moistury, but I also think I applied too much product to my face. It was one of those where when I started to apply powder on top, I could tell it wasn't really setting down and it felt really tacky. So I like the color of it. I think it's a good match for me. Shade 1 does have slight shimmer in the bottle, but I didn't see any shimmer on my face. This is one pump, sorry, dirty palette, and I'm gonna apply this with my flat foundation brush, then buff it in, and then maybe use a sponge after. This is the Lisa Eldridge foundation brush. And I'm just gonna paint it on first. When I say moistury, it's almost like it's too dewy for me. But I have tried this before and didn't apply a ton and I didn't get that experience. So maybe it's just if you over apply or you don't use the right primer, yada yada yada, it can maybe sort of feel a little too wet, too dewy. To me it's more of like, oh, this isn't drying down. The powder when I put on top, it like doesn't sort of smooth over it as well. So that's one pump roughly applied. And I'm gonna start blending it in with a more of a buffing liquid makeup brush from Sonia G. This is the classic base. It's synthetic and natural hair brush. And ever since I've gotten them, I've been using them whenever I try new foundations to see how they blend in, and they do a really great job. But that being said, not every foundation, you know, looks super good with these brushes. So sometimes I need to follow up with a sponge just to make sure, you know, excess products removed and everything looks good. I did exfoliate my face, did a glycolic toner. So I don't have much of an excuse. I mean, I have freshly applied everything on. So if it doesn't look great, well, maybe it's just the foundation. It doesn't work with my skin well. I don't know. This actually looks pretty good. Totally airbrush, but halfway decent. Good medium coverage. I could see where I could maybe put a little bit more on in some areas. But I'm a little bit afraid I'm gonna get too much product and then it's not gonna dry down again. So I'm just gonna go with one pump, and that's what this is. I think you guys can see the dew on the finish. We're getting a lot of reflection, especially in my camera. I'm seeing some glow. That's quite a bit of glow. I don't know that I noticed it as well in the last video I put this on, but when it's on the whole face, that is certainly glowy. Okay, I'm gonna go in, just damp sponge here, blend it into the skin a little bit more. This does remove coverage, but it also makes things wear a lot better and look more natural for me when things aren't just sitting on top, hanging out, you know. I generally get a little bit more coverage from powder that I put on top anyway, so I'm not too worried. I don't have too many major blemishes right now. All right, that actually looks pretty good. A lot of a problem area for me lately of dryness is right here, but this looks good. We still have some glow going on underneath. All right, I mean, we'll see how powder goes on top of this with this new brush. I think it looks good. It feels slightly dewy. Yeah, I would say so far I would not put any more foundation than one pump. Otherwise it might feel a little heavy. Some of these like very skincare like foundations end up feeling heavy, in my opinion. Especially when you start layering other products on top. It just kind of feels weighty for some reason. Okay, concealer. I'm going to go into my Sicily Phyto Cernus #1. Phyto Cernus Eclat. This is a very much natural coverage concealer. It's not very full coverage at all, but I'm okay with that. Just a little brightness, some smoothing. Foundation, concealer, all done. Normally I would put on some cream products and then put on powder, but let's just dig into the powder because I want to show you this brush. I'm going to use this Givenchy powder, the Prism Libre powder. This is the kind of color correcting one. This is a very nice fine powder, and I think if you overdo it, you can sort of dry your skin out. But given this is such a glowy foundation, I'm okay with it being a little bit on the dry side. So I'm going to start buffing this in, and you're going to see powder flying around. Ooh, this is a scented powder. This is gliding over the skin really nicely, and I think you guys can see it's really not only setting the makeup but mattifying it as well, which I kind of want when I'm setting my makeup. I want it to sort of last all day. Even though I like the dewiness of this foundation, it's gonna come through later anyway as the day goes on. So I probably am applying a little bit too much powder, but wow, this brush is so soft. So this brush is $75. I got some credit at Beautylish, $20 of credit, so I ended up getting it for about $61. So I'm super happy with that. I'm happy to have like a duplicate, basically a duplicate brush to the face one. This one, because I haven't washed it yet, feels very soft, softer than the face one. They feel very similar. But yeah, this guy's softer. I like it a lot, and I'm gonna take it with me on vacation. I'm really excited that I have a little one here. But yeah, they do the same things. They look pretty much the same, darker hair. Happy to have this one, and it works. It appears to work really well. With that powder at least. Here's another powder I can use with it, the Guerlain Meteorites. I believe this is the Claire shade. And you just kind of, again, this is a buffing brush, so you just kind of buff in this sort of finishing powder. You normally put it at the very end of your makeup, but yeah, works like a charm even over a dewy foundation. That's pretty. Okay, here we are. All right, so I'm going to finish some of the in-between steps here. Love this brush. And then we're going to get to the eyes. So I'm going to skip some things and I will be back. All right, we have some blush, some highlight, bronzer, brows, a little bit of lips. All right, so we're going to get into more of the dramatic shades in this palette. This blue and this green. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. This is pretty deep territory here. So the shades we have are Dark Density and Galactic Conquest. Oh, what do I start with? Maybe the blue. Let's start with that. Yeah, I'm just gonna dig in with this brush. This looks pretty much black and sooty with some blue and purple glitter. But it's coming off rather pretty blue grunge here. This is interesting. I don't want to make it too big right away. That is pretty. I don't know that I would wear it too much, but kind of reminds me of a shade in the last year's Pat McGrath Holiday Palette. I am noticing some fallout here. Not too surprised with how much glitters in that shade. Okay, let's move on to the green on the other side. See if I like that one more. It's definitely more of a wearable shade for me, but it's also a different formula, more pigmented, more of a kind of a metallic olive going on, which you can easily just, I don't know, you could smoke out both of these shades actually. But that's pretty. Which one do you guys prefer, the olive green or the blue? All right, I mean, we can do two looks. I don't know that I would put these two colors together, so I'm gonna go ahead and do two different looks on two different eyes. This green I'm kind of loving. So I do have the larger palette that this little mini palette is close to. But you know, when I compared these colors in the Star Wars video, these colors are different than the big palette. Just taking this up just a little bit. Now we're in very big smoke territory. Okay, okay. I mean, fairly easy to blend out there. That is a pretty smoky green. Now let's go into blue. Change up my brush here. And green had a little bit of fallout, but not as much as this side here. But there's also a lot more glitter in this color. a 4th of July shade. Smoky blue glitter. Pretty, 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 pretty. I think I'm just gonna take these shades underneath the eye and then do a little pop of bling in the inner corner and call it a day. I don't know how I feel about this glitter under my eye. It's kind of falling apart here. Okay, okay, okay. All right, that was a bit too much. I'm gonna blend these out under here. It's probably a little bit too much under there. Okay, okay. Mistakes were made. So I have this lightish golden shade here. I think this is Imperial, and I'm gonna go in. That's kind of cool looking. A little bit much, a little bit much. I don't know that this color goes with the blue that well. It's not quite icy enough, but oh well, you know, whatever. Very shiny, very, very shiny. I think that my eyes are a beautiful, interesting shade of grunge, and I could see this is like the bad guy palette. This is definitely the bad guy colors. You could definitely concentrate the colors on the edge, make them less all over the eye, less sort of smoky. It's definitely a nighttime look for me. I'm gonna finish up with some mascara and I will be back. All right, here is the final look. I put on some mascara and that's about it. Did a little bit of cleanup with a Q-tip. Let me brush away some fallout here. Boop, boop. Not bad. Actually, a pretty good palette. If you like a little bit of grunge, but you also have some very natural colors with the other three. I wish there was some mattes in here just because the glitter under the eye I would not do again. Even this green, it's a little bit much for my preferences, but I do really like the way it looks at the end of the day. I think this is a beautiful nighttime look. My preference goes to the olive green. I not just the color, but also the formula of the green I prefer than the mostly glitter, which is what this blue is. There is some black and gray sootiness behind it, but there's not a lot to the base. And then this blue and slightly purple glitter is really what makes up the color, and I'm not a fan of that. I wish this blue was more of this green, sort of more metallic, but not metallic formula. I don't know how to describe it, but there is some shimmers going on in there, and it's just easier to deal with. And yeah, I like the palette. I think it's an interesting color story, and it's pretty good quality for the price graph. Yeah, I'm liking this look. It's a little bit, it's actually pretty easy to do, and it came together rather quickly. This kind of makeup I would wear all the time when I was younger, this darker stuff. I don't wear as much of it these days as I get older. It kind of makes me feel like I look older. But it's pretty and it's fun, and it's definitely a different vibe. I do have this pigment that you guys seemed to like in the last video. I didn't feel like it really worked with this color story this time, so I didn't use it. It's kind of pink and gold and peach. But that is something else I got in the collection. Whew, But yeah, I definitely prefer the green over the blue. But I'm glad I got to try it out with you guys. And the mascara I used is the YSL Lash Clash. Bit of Clump City on the side, but it got me a good amount of lashes in not a lot of time. A little messy. All right, that's kind of it for this video. I do, of course, like the Sonia G brush. I think it did an excellent job. My foundation with the powder on top and all the other stuff, it definitely looks pretty airbrushed and flawless, so I'm liking that. No complaints here. Pat McGrath does have a new release out. At the time of filming, it released yesterday, their Valentine collection. The only thing that intrigued me was the liquid shadows, because that's a new thing, that's a new formula. And when I looked, the sort of taupey shade I was interested in that had a lot of silver glitter in it was already sold out, and then the lightest shade was already sold out. I was interested in a couple of the other shades, but for one, they're a lot of money. I'm sure eventually they'll go on sale. And it's just a lot to... I wasn't really interested in the rest of the collection, and they're kind of expensive for liquid shadows. And I actually have quite a few from other brands right now that I like, and honestly, they're very similar shades to Pat, except for her green. That green one does stand out, and I'm like, how often am I going to use that green liquid eyeshadow? So I didn't buy anything. Let me know if you guys are interested and you want me to buy something from the Valentine collection. Otherwise, it looked rather boring. A lot of shades we've seen from Pat before, just maybe in different packaging. I don't know. Anyways, let me know your thoughts below. If you like this video, click the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.